period. So a chapel here is built much later, but the cave, yes, ancient cave, and normally in this climate in Palestine, people spend winters in caves, even in the first century, even when in the period when people had kind of a constant dwellings, houses and everything, the caves still have been used. And we know that many Christian places are identified by the caves. For instance, I didn't take you yesterday because we didn't have time, but we just visited Gethsemane and the church, but there is a cave there where they say the disciples spent a night in the cave. You go to Jericho, there is a cave there that is points out the place where Jesus spent 40 days during his temptation, also another cave, although the gospel doesn't say that. But this is kind of a logically, and that's why many places. Now we're going to, our next place is going to be the place of Jesus' birth, the Nativity Church. Also there is a cave there. We're going to go into the cave. Where does it say in the gospel that the manger was in the cave? Nowhere, but this is more logical to suppose that the cattle was held in the cave. And also we have historical evidence. For instance, the earliest historical evidence that speaks about cave is Justin the Martyr. Justin the Martyr, it's the 2nd century AD. He was born in the first, but had died in the 2nd century AD, and he was born in the city that was called back then Nablus, or Shechem in the Bible. So he was local to this land. He was not Jewish, but because this was part of the Greco-Roman Empire. And he says that already in his times, the place of Jesus' birth was venerated in a cave in Bethlehem. So, of course, he knew about, Myrta, and he was very much against the worship to foreign gods, Myrta, and that's why we shouldn't suppose that he, knowing that, allowed people to continue to go to the place that was primarily a place of worship to Myrta. Also, we know from the writings of Jerome, of the 4th century, Jerome, that came here in the year 380, another Christian saint, he stayed in a cave where Jesus was born, more or less in the same cave system. He stayed there, and he says that at the place where the faithful venerated the place of birth of Jesus, Hadrian erected a temple dedicated to god Adonis. Okay, so there was a temple dedicated to god Adonis that later was destroyed by Emperor Constantine's decree, and the beautiful Christian shrine, the Basilica of Nativity, was erected, which was later also destroyed during the Samaritan Revolt, and another church in the 6th century was rebuilt there. So this 6th century church is the oldest church, I think, in Israel at least, and that's why in the year 2012 it was declared UNESCO heritage. So this church we're going to visit, and I doubt that there won't be any people there. Normally it's so super crowded, but looking here, I have a hope that we will come there and there won't be many people. If there won't be many people, we will try to get to the star, to the Nativity star. If not, we will just limit our visit, just looking around, because normally the lines there